Hello dear students, welcome to physics online CET classes for class 11 and 12th students. I am going to discuss the chapter Motion in a Plane. We can solve JEE, NEET and Karnataka CET multiple choice questions on this chapter. So before going to study the multiple choice questions, we already studied motion in a plane theoretical part. These are the points we already studied in the chapter Motion in a Plane. We studied scalars and vectors, how to multiply vectors, addition of vectors, subtraction of vectors and their graphical method, resolution of vectors, vector addition, motion in a plane, plane with constant acceleration, relative velocity, projectile motion, and at last we studied uniform circular motion. If you studied all these 11 points in detail, then it is easy to solve multiple choice questions. Just I will give you the brief synopsis on this chapter. After that we can go with the multiple choice questions. Yes, first we have to know what are scalars and vectors. The main important points I am going to discuss. If you want the detailed theory part, you can observe the previous online theory classes. So you can understand in detail, then you can go with the multiple choice questions. Now I will discuss only the important points that we have studied in this chapter. This chapter starts with two terms, and that is scalars and vectors. Scalar is having only magnitude, vector is having both magnitude and direction. So vector is represented usually by this straight line OP with an arrow mark, arrowhead. The length of this line is equal to, or it is proportional to magnitude. So this length gives magnitude and the arrowhead gives direction. This is the representation of vector. Then we can represent vector by arrow mark on the alphabet like vector A. When you are going to write the magnitude, we should write mod of vector A. See here, we can write mod of vector A, or we can write simply mod A, or simply you can write A. So all these terms are same. This indicates only magnitude. Then here in this diagram, O indicates a tail, P indicates arrowhead, right? Or we can say that a terminus or the tip of the vector. This is representation of vector. See here, after that we studied types of vectors. There are different types of vectors. The first one we studied is all about polar vectors, or we can call it as true vectors. Polar or true vectors. What are polar or true vectors? A vector whose direction is along the direction of motion. Then we can say that yes, it is a true vector. Example, displacement, or you can take acceleration, velocity, direction of motion, direction of vector, both are same. Then second one is a pseudo vector or false vector, or we can call it as axial vector. Axial or pseudo vector means a vector whose direction is along the axis of rotation. If it is along a straight line, true vector. If it is along the axis of rotation, then we can say that axial vector or pseudo vector. For example, angular displacement, angular velocity and so on. Then the third one we studied is about equal vectors. Equal vectors means two vectors said to be equal if they have same magnitude and same direction. Suppose if I am going to consider two vectors, vector A and this is vector B, both are having same magnitude and same direction, then we can call it as equal vector. After that we studied about negative vectors. Negative vectors means two vectors are said to be negative if they're having same magnitude but opposite in direction. The magnitude or length is the same but opposite directions, then we can call it as negative vector. Then we studied collinear vector. Collinear vector means two vectors that may be having equal or unequal magnitude and they're acting in the same direction, or that may be acting in the opposite direction. See here, you can observe this diagram. These two vectors are having same direction or different directions, or that may be moving in opposite direction. This is collinear. The next one we studied about parallel vectors. Parallel vector means both the vectors are said to be parallel to each other, means angle between them is 0 degree. When it comes to anti-parallel vectors, anti-parallel means both are having opposite directions. The first vector is along right side and the second vector is along the left side. This is anti-parallel. Angle between them is 180 degree. Then we studied concurrent or co-initial. Concurrent vectors, that means the vectors having same initial point. With the same initial point, we can take number of vectors, that is concurrent. The next one, localized vector or fixed vector. Localized means a vector whose initial point is fixed here. The initial point is not changing its position. Then we can say that localized. Non-localized means exactly opposite to localized. Its initial point is not fixed, so non-localized. Then coterminous vectors. Coterminous vectors. It means the vectors having same terminus point, same head. For example, at this point O, all the vectors arrow mark are at the same point, coterminals. Coterminus, right? Then we studied coplanar vectors. Coplanar means the vectors lying in the same plane. If I am going to consider x and y axis, in the same plane all the vectors are lying. So this is coplanar vectors. Right? Then we studied the very important is all about unit vectors. 13th type of vector, that is unit vector. Unit means one whose magnitude is equal to 1, and usually unit vectors are used to represent the directions, or it is denoted by a cap or a hat. And a cap is given by the equation. What is the equation? Vector A divided by mod of vector A. This equation we have to use. Unit vectors that represents directions of the given vector. Right. Then next one, zero vector, or we can say that null vector. It means whose magnitude is 0. Then we studied position vector. Position vector means a vector that gives position of a particle at any instant with respect to the origin of the coordinate system. With respect to origin, we can find the position of the object, that gives position vector. Then we studied displacement vector. Displacement means a directed line segment from initial to final position, from initial A to final position B, that gives displacement vector. Then we studied resultant vector. It is very important. Resultant vector means the two or more vectors is that single vector which produces the same effect. Instead of taking two vectors, I can take the same vector or single vector with the same magnitude. Suppose if its value is 2, if its value is 3, so we can get 5. Instead of taking two vectors, we can take a single vector with the same effect. That gives resultant vector. Then after that we studied addition of vectors. In addition of vectors we studied 3 laws. Triangle law of vector addition, parallelogram law of vector addition, polygon law of vector addition. We studied 3 laws of vector addition. See here, when it comes to addition of two vectors, suppose if this is a vector P plus another vector, it is Q. How to add these two vectors? See here, this is the resultant vector or the sum of two vectors. Vector P plus vector Q, that gives resultant of two vectors or addition of two vectors. Right? Then if the two vectors are inclined at some angle, then we can prefer laws of vector addition. So laws we already studied. The first one is triangle law of vector addition, parallelogram law of vector addition. Then third one is polygon law of vector addition. These 3 laws are very important. So triangle means we can consider a triangle, or this is the two sides of a triangle, vector A and vector B. The resultant vector is given by the third side of a triangle in the opposite direction. This is vector R. This is triangular law of vector addition. When it comes to parallelogram law of vector addition, let us consider two vectors along the two adjacent sides of a parallelogram. Then the resultant is along the diagonal. This is what parallelogram law of vector addition. We can consider n number of vectors. The resultant vector is in the opposite direction. That gives resultant vector. Vector R equal to A plus B plus C plus D plus E. Resultant vector is taken on the end of this polygon in the opposite direction. These are the three laws of vector addition. Then we studied the very important magnitude and direction of two concurrent coplanar vectors. We already derived the equation. Directly I am going to use the final result. See here, magnitude of resultant of vector. This gives magnitude. Magnitude of resultant of vector is given by the equation p square plus q square plus 2pq cos theta. This gives magnitude. And the direction is given by tan alpha is equal to q sin theta divided by p plus q cos theta. Here we studied some special cases that you can remember. We studied subtraction of vectors. Subtraction of vector. To understand subtraction of vector, you should again watch this class. This is very important because in subtraction, we are going to add the vectors. Suppose if you want vector A minus vector B. Actually what we are doing here, vector A plus negative of vector B. Suppose if this is a vector A and this is vector B. So here I want a negative of B here. Negative means we can take another vector in the opposite direction. This will be minus B. So this angle we have to calculate. Vector A minus vector B. This is addition of vectors minus B and plus A. Right. Then after that we studied resolution of the vectors. Resolution means splitting up of a vector into two components. One vector is divided into two components along x and y axis. Yes, we studied x component, y component. Right, x component is given by the equation in general p equal to r cos theta. Y component is given by the equation q equal to r sin theta. These are the x and y components or horizontal and vertical components. Then magnitude of resolution of the vector is given by square root of p square plus q square. This gives magnitude of resultant of two vectors or resolution of the vector. Then direction is given by theta equal to tan inverse of q divided by p. This gives direction. So these all equations we studied in theoretical part in detail. Yes, this is all about resolution of vectors. The next very important topic is all about cross product and dot product. Cross product and dot product. Yes, we know that cross product means a vector whose magnitude is equal to product of magnitude of two vectors and sine of angle between them. Generally it is given by the equation vector A cross vector B is equal to AB sine theta. This gives its magnitude. And for dot product we can write vector A dot vector B is equal to AB cos theta. Right. Then this cross product is it follows commutative. Cross product is non-commutative, but dot product is commutative. It is commutative. It follows commutative property. And the very important here is all about the values of unit vectors. Dot product of unit vectors. It is generally denoted by I dot I, j dot j, k dot k. These all are equal to what? 1. But I dot j, j dot k, k dot I, these all are equal to what? 0. So this value you have to remember for dot product. Similarly for cross, I cross I and j cross j, k cross k. These all are equal to 0. Then I cross j equal to k, j cross k equal to I, k cross I equal to j. In the reverse order we can take negative sign. So these are the unit vectors of dot and cross product. You can remember this equation A cross B equal to AB sin theta, A dot B equal to AB cos theta. So this completes vectors. We studied what are vectors, types of vectors, addition of vectors, subtraction of vectors, and this is multiplication of vectors, resolution of vectors, and then we derived resultant of two vectors, their magnitude and directions. The next part of this chapter is all about relative velocity for two-dimensional and three-dimensional. It is very important. Relative velocity means the velocity of a body with respect to another moving body, that gives relative velocity. And we derived the equation for magnitude and direction. Directly I am going to write here. VAB is equal to root of VA square plus VB square minus 2VA VB cos theta. This gives magnitude of relative velocity. And direction is given by tan alpha is equal to VB sin theta divided by VA minus VB cos theta. This gives direction of relative velocity. And here we studied many special cases with some examples. Like we studied relative velocity of rain with respect to man, relative velocity of rain with respect to man, that is given by the equation rain with respect to man we studied, and the equation is V equal to square root of V1 square plus V2 square, and its direction is alpha equal to tan inverse of V1 divided by V2. And the second example we can study. Second one we studied about to cross the river for shortest path. Shortest path again we studied, and the equations for magnitude is square root of V1 square minus V2 square, and their direction is sine inverse of V2 divided by V1. Then we studied to cross the river with the shortest time and the shortest displacement. So time to cross the river, here also we found time, that is t equal to d divided by square root of V1 square minus V2 square. Third one we studied about to cross the river with the shortest time, and we derived the equation for magnitude, that is square root of V1 square plus V2 square, and direction is tan inverse of V2 divided by V1. Time is given by t equal to square root of s square plus d square divided by V1 square plus V2 square. So this is all about relative velocity. Just you remember all these equations are very important to find magnitude and directions. So this is all about relative velocity, and the next part of this chapter is all about projectile motion. Projectile motion. Projectile motion means the motion of an object thrown into the space under the effect of gravity, that gives projectile motion. Here we studied many basic terms related to projectile motion. The very important terms are maximum height. The second one, range of projectile, horizontal range. And the third one is the time of flight. These three terms are very important. We derived an equation for maximum height, range and time. Maximum height is given by u square sine square theta divided by 2g. Horizontal range is given by u square sine 2 theta divided by g. And time of flight is given by 2u sine theta divided by g. These three equations you can remember. In projectile motion it is enough. And some special cases we already studied, and we know the trajectory of projectile is a parabola. That is very important. Path of the projectile is always a parabola, that is y equal to ax minus bx square. Then after that we studied all about circular motion. Circular motion, here we studied what is angular displacement, angular velocity, angular acceleration, frequency, time period. Right? These are the very important terms. Then we derived an expression for centripetal force, Fc equal to mv square divided by r. So just you can remember all these formula. So this is all about the very brief synopsis regarding the chapter motion in a plane. Now we can solve multiple choice questions on this chapter. Question number 1. Which of the following is not a vector quantity? Options: speed, velocity, torque, displacement. Yes, we know that vector quantity is having both magnitude and direction. Scalar quantity is having only magnitude. Now observe the options here. Speed. What is speed? Speed is a rate of change of distance. So it is having only magnitude but there is no direction. So this is a scalar quantity. Then velocity. Velocity is rate of change of displacement. Displacement is having both magnitude and direction. So velocity is a vector quantity. Then third option, torque. Torque is a type of force which helps for the rotational motion and it is denoted by tau and the equation is given by r cross f. So this is a vector quantity. It is having both magnitude and direction. Then displacement. Displacement is the shortest distance between any two points. Displacement is a vector quantity. So which of the following is not a vector quantity? The answer is option A, speed. Speed is not a vector quantity. It is a scalar quantity because it is having only magnitude. Second question, which of the following conditions are sufficient and essential for quantity to be a vector? The quantity to be a vector, which of the following conditions are sufficient and which of the following conditions are essential? You can observe one by one. The first one, magnitude and direction. We know that vector quantity is having both magnitude and direction. Yes, it is right. Second option, magnitude and addition, subtraction, multiplication by ordinary rules of algebra. Remember, for vector quantity, ordinary rules of algebra are not possible. For example, a plus b whole square equal to a square plus b square plus 2ab. These are the ordinary rules of algebra. These rules are not sufficient for vector quantity because in vector quantity we have to consider both magnitude as well as directions. So here this is not the proper rule. Come to the third option, magnitude. Right. Direction, yes, it is also right. Addition of vectors, subtraction of vectors, multiplication of vectors and division by the vector laws. Yes, these are the required condition for vector quantity. Yes, it is right. Then fourth option, magnitude, direction and combination of vectors by ordinary rules of algebra. See here, a vector quantity is defined as the quantity which has magnitude and direction and for which all mathematical operations are possible only through vector law of algebra. We can take addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. These are the mathematical operations. These are possible only by the vector laws of algebra. So, the suitable answer is option C because it follows magnitude, direction and all the mathematical operations by vector laws. So, option C is the right answer. Question 3. Which of the following statement is true? Which statement is true? Yes, we can observe one by one option here. Option A scalar quantity is the one that is conserved in the process. Whether it is true or false, first we can see here. A scalar quantity is the one that is conserved in the process. This statement is false. Why it is false? Because you can observe kinetic energy is not conserved during inelastic collision. You are going to study in the chapter work energy power. Kinetic energy is a scalar quantity and its value is not constant. It is changing. Right? So this is false. The first option is false because the scalar quantity is the one that is conserved here, but it is not conserved in the process. For example, kinetic energy. Then come to the second statement. A scalar quantity is the one that can never take negative values. So this statement is again false because we can measure temperature. Temperature is a scalar quantity and we can measure the temperature in terms of negative, minus 3 degrees Celsius, minus 10 degrees Celsius. This is a scalar quantity. So this scalar quantity is having negative values, positive values. So this is the false statement. Then come to the option C. A scalar quantity is the one that does not vary from one point to another in the space. Here it is given a scalar quantity is the one that does not changes its value in the space. This statement is again false because I will give you the example of gravitational potential energy. Gravitational potential energy. This is a scalar quantity. Gravitational potential energy is a scalar quantity and its value is changing from one point to another point in the space. So this is also false statement. Then last option is remain. Obviously this should be true, but we can observe the statement. A scalar quantity has the same value for observers with different orientations of the axis. A scalar quantity has the same value for observers with different orientations. This statement is true because the value of scalar does not change with orientation of the axis. Its value does not change with its orientations, positions of the or on this axis. So this is the true statement. Is it clear? A scalar quantity has the same value for observer because it does not change its value with the orientations of the axis. So option D is the right answer. Then fourth one, if vector P is equal to vector Q, then which of the following is not correct? Vector P equal to vector Q, which of the following is not correct? Yes, vector P is equal to vector Q. What it mean? The magnitude of both the vectors should be equal as well as the direction should be equal. Right, then only we can take vector P equal to vector Q. See here, magnitude means we can take mod of P should be equal to mod of Q. That gives magnitude. Similarly, its direction should be equal. P cap is equal to Q cap. So then it gives direction. Magnitude and direction should be equal. Then we can say that vector P equal to vector Q. Yes, observe the given statements. The first option, P cap equal to Q cap. Yes, its directions are equal, right? Then mod of vector P equal to mod of vector Q, that gives magnitude. Yes, they are equal. Option C, mod P means magnitude and direction is equal to magnitude of Q and direction of P. P Q cap is equal to Q P cap. Yes, this is also possible. Magnitude of P, direction of Q is equal to magnitude of Q into direction of P. It is also possible. Come to option D. Option D is vector P plus Q is equal to Q cap plus P cap. This is not possible. We should write vector P plus vector Q. That should be equal to P into P cap plus Q into Q cap because it gives magnitude and P cap gives directions. So that's why option D is not correct. Means now this is the right answer because we want which of the following is not correct. Okay. Then fifth question, any vector in an arbitrary direction can always be replaced by 2 or 3 options. The first option, first you have to know arbitrary direction. Arbitrary means random. Any vector in random direction. We considered one vector in random direction. This vector can be replaced by 2 or 3. Yes, we already studied resolution of a vector. You can remember here. The vector can be resolved into two components. One is along x-axis, another one is along y-axis. You can remember here. P and Q are the two vectors. Resultant of P and Q is R. Here the question is, any vector in an arbitrary direction can always be replaced by 2 or 3. Yes, option A, parallel vectors which have original vectors as their resultant. Second one, mutually perpendicular vectors which have original vectors as their resultant. Third one, arbitrary vectors which have the original vectors as the resultant. Option D is none of these. See here, they had given only one vector. One vector is replaced by 2 or 3. But which vectors, whether parallel vectors or perpendicular vectors or arbitrary vectors with original vector? See here, option C is correct because any vector in arbitrary direction that can be always replaced by 2 or 3 arbitrary vectors, because these vectors together they produce the same effect as it is produced by the given vectors. Option C is arbitrary vectors which have the original vector as their resultant. So option C is the right answer. Sixth question. The angle made by vector A equal to I cap plus j cap with x axis is. The angle made by the vector. Here it is given vector A equal to I cap plus j cap with x axis. So we know that according to unit vectors, because here it is given I cap and j cap, the magnitude of the vectors is given by the formula vector A equal to, or magnitude means we want simply A equal to, we have the formula ax square plus ay square. This formula we can use here, ax square plus ay square, or we can write mod A, that gives magnitude. Ax square plus ay square, here it is given 1 I cap plus 1 j cap, magnitude is 1 square plus 1 square, that will be root 2. This gives magnitude of A. But we know the formula for direction, cos theta equal to ax divided by A, or we can write it as ax equal to A into cos theta. So this is what we already studied. This is called x component, because here they given I plus j with x axis. So we can take x component here. We can write ax divided by mod A. Ax 1 divided by mod A is root 2. So 1 by root 2, it means theta should be how much? Cos theta equal to 1 by root 2 means theta equal to 45 degree, because cos 45 equal to 1 by root 2. So angle between the vectors is 45 degree with x axis. 45 degree means option B is the right answer. Seventh question. The unit vector along I cap plus j cap is. The unit vectors along I plus j. We know that unit vectors is given by the expression vector A equal to, we can take direction of A, or vector A divided by magnitude of A. Right, this equation we can use here, or we can write vector R divided by mod of R. Right, so in general I am going to use the equation vector R is equal to vector R divided by mod of R. This is according to unit vectors. Vector R, here it is given I and j, these are the directions, I cap plus j cap divided by mod of vector R means we can write rx square plus ry square. So we can write I cap plus j cap divided by root of 1 square plus 1 square, or we can write I cap plus j cap divided by root 2, or we can write 1 by root 2 I cap plus 1 by root 2 j cap. So this is the value of unit vectors along I cap plus j cap. So I plus j divided by root 2 means option C is the right answer. Eighth question. The expression 1 by root 2 I cap plus 1 by root 2 j cap is A. Directly we can say that option A is right. It is a unit vector because in the 7th question we solved 1 by root 2i plus 1 by root 2j. This is a unit vector. So, or if you want, then you can solve this question here. I am going to consider vector P in general. It is given 1 by root 2 I cap plus 1 by root 2 j cap. This value is given. Let us find its magnitude. Mod of vector P equal to square root of 1 by root 2 square plus 1 by root 2 square. Or we will get 1 by 2 plus 1 by 2. So that gives root 1 is equal to 1. So the magnitude of a vector is equal to 1 is which vector? It is a unit vector. So option A is the right answer. 9th question. It is found that mod of A plus B is equal to mod A. This necessarily implies what it implies. Mod of A plus B equal to mod of A. This condition should be follows. Let us check the options one by one. Option 1 is B equal to 0. Suppose I am going to consider vector B equal to 0. Here it is given. Our equation is what? Mod of A plus B equal to mod of A. Suppose B equal to 0, then the equation becomes A plus 0 is equal to A, or mod A equal to mod A. Yes, this will be right. B equal to 0. This condition we can follow here, or we can check B option. A and B are anti-parallel. A and B are anti-parallel. Suppose if I am going to consider vector is A, this is A vector. Anti-parallel means opposite in direction. We can take vector B in this side. Let us imagine if the mod of vector B. Let us imagine magnitude of B. Suppose if it is equal to magnitude of 2A. Directions are anti-parallel. They are in the opposite direction. So direction should be minus 2A. So our equation is what here? Mod of A plus B is equal to mod of A. In place of B, I am going to write 2A. So we will get the answer mod of minus A. Mod of minus A means what? A. So mod of A plus B is equal to A we got here. Right? So this is also possible. Come to option C. If A and B are perpendicular. If A and B are perpendicular. Observe here, perpendicular means I can consider two vectors in this direction, right? The resultant vector according to law of triangle, we can take this is resultant vector, that is A plus B, right? So here I can consider mod of A plus B that should be greater than mod of A. Similarly, mod of A plus B that should be greater than mod of B. For example, if this is having the value AB is having the value 2, BC is having the value 3. What is the value of A plus B? We can write directly 5. 5 is greater than 2. Similarly, 5 is greater than 3. So here A plus B is always greater than A or always greater than B. So here the condition is not followed, right? So this is the wrong option. Come to option D. Here it is given vector A dot B equal to vector A dot B is less than or equal to 0. Less than or equal to 0 means what? We should consider negative values. Suppose if I am going to consider this is vector B and this is vector A. There is a change in their magnitude values. When we got A dot B, so the final vector should be greater. So this is what? A dot B here. Means its value gone changes, or you can take A plus B. When we add these two values, the length of this line or the value of magnitude increases. So A plus B should be greater than A, but it is not equal to A. So if A and B are negative, right? So this is also not suitable answer. So option A, option B both are correct. But here the options are not given properly. So let us take this, instead of A dot B, we can consider here both A and B. Make some corrections here. Both A and B are necessarily implies the given equation. So option D is right. 10th question. How many minimum number of coplanar vectors having different magnitudes that can be added to a zero resultant? How many minimum number of coplanar vectors that we can consider with different magnitudes that can be added to give zero resultant? Means here we can consider coplanar equilibrium concurrent vectors. For example, I am going to consider a vector F1. Let us consider force. This is also a vector quantity. I am applying force in this direction. Again, I am going to consider another vector in the same plane. Let us take it as F2. When I applied two forces F1 and F2 on this particle starts to move. So the resultant is what? When we applied a force, the object is having linear motion. But according to the question, the result should be 0. Result should be 0 means this object should not change its position. So I am going to apply one more force in this direction. Let us take it as F3. Now you can observe the position of the object is not changing. The resultant is 0. How many minimum number of coplanar vectors having different magnitudes that can be added to give 0 resultant? So I can write F1 plus F2 plus F3 is equal to 0. Resultant should be 0. We can add minimum 3 forces to get the 0 answer, or we can write F1 plus F2 equal to minus F3, because F1 and F2 they are acting vertically downward, but F3 is acting vertically upward. F1 plus F2 equal to minus F3. It means there should be minimum 3 coplanar vectors having different magnitude which should be added to give 0 resultant. Minimum how many vectors are needed? Minimum 3 vectors are needed. So option B is the right answer. 11th question. Let angle between two non-zero vectors, vector A and vector B, is 120 degree and the resultant of B is C. Then here they had asked the question, the angle between two non-zero vectors A and B be 120 degree. The resultant is C. Yes, you can observe all the options are given in terms of A minus B. So we should use a subtraction of two vectors. See here, let us consider vector A and this is a vector B. The angle between these two vectors is how much? 120 degree. There are two vectors, non-zero vectors A and B, and the resultant is C. Right? Suppose if I am going to combine these two vectors, the answer is what? C. So here I am going to write vector C equal to vector A plus vector B. I want its magnitude, mod of vector C equal to mod of vector A plus vector B. So if you want mod of vector A plus B, we can use the equation magnitude of two vectors. We already derived an equation, A square plus B square plus 2AB cos theta. This equation you can utilize here. Square root of A square plus B square plus 2AB cos of theta is given 120 degree, cos 120. Cos 120 means, what is the value of cos 120? Minus 1 by 2. A square plus B square plus 2AB. Cos 120 is minus 1 by 2. 2 and 2 will get cancelled. So we will get the answer A square plus B square plus AB. This is the answer for what? Mod of vector A plus B. But I want subtraction of vectors. So this is vector A and this is vector B. When you are going for subtraction of vectors, So B should be taken in the opposite direction. Let us consider this is minus B vector. I want A minus B. A is positive, B is negative. Negative means B is initially in upward direction. Negative means we should take in downward direction. Now tell me what is the angle between them? It should be 60 degree. Right? Vector A minus vector B, that is angle is 60 degree. Again the same procedure we can use here. A minus B is equal to square root of A square plus B square plus 2AB cos 60. Cos 60 is how much? Cos 60 is equal to plus 1 by 2. A square plus B square plus 2AB cos 60 is 1 by 2. 2 will get cancelled. So we will get the answer A square plus B square plus AB. Here we will get minus AB. Observe here, this is not plus, this is minus. Mod of A minus B equal to how much we got here? A square plus B square plus AB. Observe this equation. Options. The first option, C must be equal to A minus B. Which is a C here? The resultant is a C. This is the value of C. C equal to A minus B. C must be equal to A minus B. Is it equal to A minus B? No, because this is the sum of A square plus B square plus AB. So this value is greater than A minus B. It is not less than A minus B. It is not equal to A minus B. But it is, this value is greater. If it is greater than A minus B, option C is the right answer. Is it clear? Mod of A minus B equal to square root of A square plus B square plus AB. Suppose if you are going to take any value here, in place of A and B you can substitute the value. We will get the result in a greater value. Right? So option C is correct. Then 12th question. For the resultant of two vectors to the maximum, what must be angle between them? We want maximum resultant. Maximum means we can take resultant of two vectors is given by the equation in general. P square plus Q square plus 2PQ cos theta. This is our equation for magnitude of two vectors. But we want maximum resultant. R should be maximum. R is maximum for which value of angle? We can observe R is maximum means cos theta should be equal to 1. Then it is said to be maximum. Cos theta equal to 1 means what is the value of theta? Theta should be 0 degree. Cos 0 is 1. Observe here. Square root of P square plus Q square plus 2PQ cos 0. Cos 0 degree is how much? 1. So we will get the answer P square plus Q square plus 2PQ. So resultant is said to be maximum when angle between them is how much? 0 degree. So option A is the right answer. 13th question. For the figure, which of the following is correct? Here the direction is very important. Arrow mark is very important. In which direction actually the vectors are moving? Observe here. We can use a triangular law of vector addition. Which law we can use here? Triangular law of vector addition. Triangular law of vector addition. If two magnitudes are represented by the sides of a triangle, then resultant is represented along the third side of a triangle in the opposite direction. Right? So now tell me which is the resultant here. Suppose if I am going to consider the first vector C. Observe the directions. C is downward with arrow of C. Tail is joined here. C and then A. Both are moving in the same direction. C plus A is equal to. This is the resultant. This resultant is in the opposite direction. Initially C and A are moving in anti-clockwise direction. But this B is moving in clockwise direction. So we can write C plus A equal to B. Vector C plus vector A equal to vector B. Because according to law of triangle, the two vectors represented as the sides of a triangle, then resultant vector is represented on the third side of a triangle but taken in the opposite direction. So we can write the condition vector C plus vector A equal to vector B. So option C is the right answer. 14th question. The magnitude of given vector with endpoints 4, -4, 0 and -2, -2, 0, that must be. The magnitude of given vectors with endpoints is given. Generally, we can take the equation vector R. Vector R means what? Vector R2 minus vector R1. So R2 and R1 means we can take the first endpoint as R1, the second endpoint as R2. Substitute the value here. In place of R2, we can write -2 I cap minus 2 j cap plus 0 k cap. 4 I cap minus 4 j cap plus 0 k cap. Subtracting these two values, -2 minus 4. See here, first I am going to write -2 I cap minus 2 j cap plus 0 k cap minus 4 I cap, minus into minus is plus 4 j cap minus 0 k cap. -2 I cap minus 4 I cap means minus 6 I cap. Minus 2 j cap plus 4 j cap means plus 2 j cap. Remaining is 0. 0 k cap. I want the magnitude of vector R. Magnitude means minus 6 square plus 2 square plus 0 square. What is the answer? We will get 36 plus 4, that is root of 40. Root of 40 is 2 root of 10. 2 root 10 means option D is the right answer. 15th question. The vector that must be added to the vector I minus 3j plus 2k cap and 3i cap plus 6j cap minus 7k cap, so that the resultant vector is a unit vector along y-axis is. Here I am going to consider the first vector values are I cap minus 3j cap plus 2k cap. Vector B is given 3i cap plus 6j cap minus 7k cap. So here it is given resultant vector is a unit vector along y-axis. So unit vector along y-axis, unit vector along y-axis means we can consider j cap because I cap is along x-axis, j cap is along y-axis and k cap is along z-axis. So the required vector is all about j. I am going to write here. So here we can write A plus B plus C equal to j. J is unit vector along y-axis. What is C here? Where C is resultant vector. What is C? Resultant vector. Now substitute all the values here. A plus B. First we can find A plus B is equal to I cap plus, it is minus 3j cap plus 2k cap plus 3i cap plus 6j cap minus 7k cap. What is the answer? I cap plus 3i cap is 4i cap minus 3j plus 6j is plus 3j cap. 2k minus 7k means minus 5k cap. This is the value of A plus B. Substitute in equation 1. Let us take it as equation 2. Put 2 in 1. A plus B means what? 4i cap plus 3j cap minus 5k cap plus C is equal to j. I want the resultant vector. So therefore we can write the equation C equal to j keep as it is minus 4i cap plus 3j cap minus 5k cap, or j keep as it is minus 4i cap plus into minus is minus 3j cap, minus into minus is plus 5k cap. What is the answer? So the final answer we can write minus 4i cap j minus 3j means minus 2j cap plus 5k cap. So this is the final answer. Minus 4i cap minus 2j cap plus 5k cap means option B is the right answer. So here this resultant vector C, it is a vector which must be added so that the resultant is a unit vector along y-axis. Then 16th question, the angle between the two vectors, we have to find angle between these two vectors. Vector A is given 3i cap plus 4j cap plus 5k cap. Vector B is given 3i cap plus 4j cap minus 5k cap. We have to find angle between these two vectors. So we can use product of two vectors here. Vector A dot vector B. Multiplying these two vectors. 3i cap plus 4j cap plus 5k cap into 3i cap plus 4j cap minus 5k cap. Yes, multiply these two vectors here. 3 into 3, 9 I dot I plus 3 into 4, 12 I dot j. Then 3 into 5, 15 minus 15 I dot k. Right, then second term plus 4 into 3, 12 j dot I. 4 into 4, 16 j dot j. 4 into minus 5, minus 20 k, sorry, this is j dot k. J dot k. Then last term 5k into 3i 15k dot I. 5 4s are 20 k dot j. 5 into minus 5 minus 25 k dot k. We can use unit vectors in the dot products. We know that I dot I, j dot j and k dot k, these are always equal to 1. I dot j, j dot k dot I, these are always equal to 0. Now substitute all the values here. 9, I dot I is 1, 9 we will get 9 into 1 plus 12 into 0 minus 15 into 0 plus 12 into 0 plus 16 into 1 minus 20 into 0 plus 15 into 0 plus 20 into 0 minus 25 into 1. What is the final answer? 9 plus 16 minus 25. So 25 minus 25 is equal to 0. We got the final answer as 0. What it indicates? Observe here. Vector A dot vector B is equal to AB cos theta. It means mod of A mod of B cos theta. We got the answer 0. If it is 0, then theta is how much? Cos 0 is 1. Cos 90 is 0. Theta equal to 90 degree. When theta equal to 90 degree, we will get the 0 answer. Here also we got the 0 answer here. So which is the right answer? Theta equal to 90 degree is the right answer. 17th question. The vector sum of two forces is perpendicular to their vector differences. In that case, the forces, options are given that cannot be predicted. Option B, they are equal to each other. Option C, they are equal to each other only in magnitude. Option D, they are not equal to each other in magnitude. Read the question properly. The vector sum of two forces perpendicular to vector differences. Let us consider vector P that gives vector sum and vector Q that gives vector difference. Vector sum, vector difference, they are perpendicular. We can take vector sum means A plus B. Vector difference means vector A minus vector B. Here it is given since P and Q, these are perpendicular. Perpendicular means P dot Q is equal to PQ cos theta. If theta equal to 90 degree, then it will be PQ into cos 90 is 0. That means they are perpendicular. Right? So what it indicates? Vector P dot vector Q is equal to 0. Vector P means what? A plus B into A minus B is equal to 0, or we can write it as A square, A plus B into A minus B, A square minus B square equal to 0, or A square equal to B square, or we can write mod A equal to mod B. This is the conclusion. Cannot be predicted. No, we can get the answer here. It is the wrong answer. They are equal to each other. Yes, they are equal to each other, but they are equal in magnitude. Mod A equal to mod B. Option C is the right answer because they are equal to each other in magnitude. 18th question. Which of the following is not correct? Which is not correct? Observe all the options here. All are related to cross product. Vector A cross B. Vector A cross vector B equal to, it is given, minus of vector B cross A. So here cross product is non-commutative. This is what? Commutative property. Dot product will follow commutative property, but cross product will not follow commutative property, or we can say that non-commutative. Yes, this is right. Second one, vector A cross vector B is not equal to vector B cross vector A. Yes, this is also right because this is again non-commutative. Option C, vector A cross B plus C is equal to A cross B plus A cross C. Yes, this is distributive property. Vector cross product that follows distributive property. Yes, this is also right. Last option, A cross B plus C is equal to A cross B plus C. This is the, so this is not the right answer. So we have to find the not correct option. So option D is not correct. 19th question, the resultant of vector A into 0 will be equal to vector A into 0. What it gives? Vector is multiplied with scalar. When vector is multiplied with scalar, vector multiplied by scalar, then the answer should be vector. We know that vector A into 0, what is the answer? 0. 0 is what? It is a 0 vector, because when we multiplied number with vector quantity, the result is a vector quantity. So this is not a magnitude, this is not a scalar, this is a 0 vector. 0 vector means the vector which is not having magnitude and direction, or magnitude and directions of 0 vectors are always 0. Right? So option C is correct. 20th question, the angle between the vectors 2i cap minus 3j cap minus k cap and minus 6i cap plus 9j cap plus 3k cap is, I am going to use 2i cap minus 3j cap minus k cap is given value, then minus 6i cap plus 9j cap plus 3k cap, or directly we can use the determinants here, I cap, j cap, k cap, write their values. 2 minus 3 minus 1, minus 6 9 3. Yes, here we can consider 3 into minus 3 will be minus 9, minus into minus will be plus 9 I cap. This value 9 and this is 3 into 3. Then next term, 6 into minus 1 minus 6 into minus 1. So we will get plus 6. 3 2s are 6 into j cap. Right, then k cap. 9 2s are 18. Then 6 3s are 18. That will be minus 18 k cap. So you can observe here 9 minus 9, 6 minus 6, 18 minus 18, that gives the value 0. So what it indicates? The given vectors are parallel to each other. If they are parallel to each other, angle between them is 0 degree. You can observe A cross B is equal to AB sin theta. If theta equal to 0 degree, what is the answer? AB sin 0 means 0. That indicates the given two vectors are parallel to each other. So angle between these two value is how much? 0 degree.